All right, let's talk about something that pretty much anyone who's ever been part of a big project knows deep in their bones. How in the world do you keep it all from going off the rails? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a really powerful but surprisingly simple tool that brings crystal clear focus to even the messiest projects.
I mean, seriously, think about it. You kick off a project, you're excited, the energy is high, but pretty soon, right, the tasks start piling up. The deadlines get a little too real, and you've got different teams all pulling in what feels like different directions. It is so easy to get completely lost. So what's the solution? How do you find your way through it all?
You know, there's a perfect way to describe this feeling. We call it the project labyrinth, and it's a fantastic metaphor for that feeling of chaos when a project's complexity just starts to take over.
Because you're right there, smack in the middle of this maze. Every hallway looks the same, every turn could be a dead end. You've got your designers over here, your developers over there, your testers, they're all working their tails off, but are they all rowing in the same direction? Without a clear map, you're not just risking a missed deadline, you're risking blowing the budget and, honestly, delivering something that nobody's really happy with.
But what if I told you that you could put up signposts inside this labyrinth? Bright, shining markers that light up the path and guide every single person towards the same finish line.
Well, the answer is so simple it's almost deceptive. It's test milestones. This is it. This is our map. This is our compass. This is the tool that lets us walk through that project labyrinth with total confidence.
So, what exactly is a test milestone? The definition itself has a really important clue. It's a task of zero duration. Now that sounds weird, right? Zero duration? But it's absolutely the key. A milestone isn't the work itself. It's not a task that takes you hours or days to do. Think of it more like a flag you plant in the ground. It's a single point in time that says, hey, we did it. This major thing is officially complete.
Okay, so what makes a milestone actually meaningful? It really boils down to three things. First, it has to mark a real, honest-to-goodness, important achievement, not just sent an email. Second, it's got to be tied to at least one real testing activity. And third, and this is so important, it has to create one or more test work products. In other words, you need to have something tangible in your hands, some kind of proof that shows the work is truly officially done.
So how do we make these things? How do we build these signposts? Well, it's not just guesswork, it's not magic. There's a super clear 4-step blueprint that you can follow to build a rock-solid milestone plan for basically any project.
So here's our roadmap. First, we've got to understand the basic shape of our project. Then, we find the big landmarks that are already in the overall plan. After that, we figure out what our proof of work is going to be. And finally, we put it all together to create our actual test milestones. So let's break that down.
Step 1 is all about understanding the terrain. You can't put signposts in the labyrinth if you don't even know the layout of the map, right? So in the world of project management, this means you have to know which software development model your team is using.
For example, are you using a waterfall model? That's where everything flows in one long, straight line. You do all the design first, then all the coding, then all the testing. It's like building a house one floor at a time. Or maybe you're using an iteration model. That's more of a cycle, where you build and test in repeating phases, delivering small pieces of the project as you go. The shape of your project tells you exactly where your milestones need to be.
Now, step 2. And here's the good news. You don't have to invent these landmarks out of thin air. You just look at the overall project plan. It's already got big milestones in it, things like system design complete or user acceptance testing begins. Your test milestones are going to latch on to these existing project-wide goals. That's how you make sure the testing team is always in sync with the bigger picture.
Step 3 is all about accountability. It answers a simple question. How do we prove that a testing phase is actually complete? And you do that by identifying your test work products. These are the real, tangible things, the deliverables, that prove the work isn't just started, it's finished, and it's finished correctly.
And we're not talking about abstract ideas here, we're talking about real documents. The approved test plan that lays out your whole strategy, the written out test cases that detail every step, the test logs that record exactly what happened, the defect reports that track all the bugs. When you can point to these things and say, here they are, You know that milestone has been achieved. And now for the final step, step 4. This is where it all comes together. You take your project's shape, you anchor it to those major project landmarks, and you define your tangible proof of work. Once you have those 3 ingredients, you are ready to build your final, definitive test milestone schedule.
And this is what it looks like. This is the goal, a clear, simple table. Each milestone gets a name, like Integration Test Plan Complete. You can see the effort involved, and you've got a crystal clear start and end date. This right here becomes the single source of truth for your whole team, for your boss, for your client. There's no more ambiguity, no more, oh, I thought you meant. Everyone knows exactly what needs to be delivered, and by when.
So after going through all this, what's the real payoff? I mean, what's the ultimate benefit here? It's about so much more than just a schedule. It's really about building with confidence.
This is the true power of what we're talking about. Test milestones take that confusing, chaotic, anxiety-inducing project labyrinth, and they transform it into a clear, well-lit, predictable path. You're replacing that feeling of guesswork with a solid strategy.
And this is why it matters on a whole other level. As this quote from the source material points out so well, this whole process is fundamental to managing people's expectations. And when your stakeholders, your client, your boss, your team, when they all share the exact same definition of success, you're not just managing a project anymore, you're leading it.
And that really just leaves us with one last thing to think about. This whole framework, it's not just for software projects. Think about any big goal you have in your own life. Maybe it's learning an instrument, or planning a wedding, or finishing a degree. What are the key achievements? What are the tangible proofs of progress that can guide you along the way? What are the hidden milestones that can turn your own personal labyrinth into a clear path to success?